Hey everyone, welcome back to Cyberculture Interface channel. This is where we talk about cybersecurity and how it helps beginners, with the focus of helping beginners to start up properly in cybersecurity and the things that you can do to help boost your chances of doing well and going further in cybersecurity. Last video we talked about project. We started talking about cybersecurity project for your resume. That is projects that can make your resume stand out even as a beginner without having any previous work experience. So today we are going to continue on the project. Last project we talked about was traffic analysis for network, where we looked at Wireshark. Today we are looking at network vulnerability and assessment as a project, and we're going to be using Nessus. My name is Olalekan Lori, and I've been around cybersecurity for about 4 years, and I've helped a number of my friends to also kickstart their journey in cybersecurity. Back to your conversation for today: network vulnerability assessment as a project. So, what is network vulnerability all about? So when we're talking about network vulnerability assessment, we are talking about the process of identifying and quantifying, prioritizing vulnerabilities in a computer network. So here you make use of automated tools to scan the network for weaknesses. You're looking at weaknesses like misconfiguration of devices, outdated softwares, some third-party security patches, and some other known security flaws. And vulnerability identified, when you identify a particular vulnerability after conducting your scan, you rank them based on their severity, and the organization is able to focus on addressing the most critical issues. When you identify the issues and you rank them, like, oh, this is severe, this is critical, this is just a low or a medium vulnerability, the organization knows where to start from. So this is the benefit of conducting vulnerability assessment. So, and by conducting regular vulnerability assessments, businesses or organizations can proactively identify and mitigate potential risks, before it goes out of hand. And this ultimately strengthens your the overall cybersecurity posture of the organization. So we are looking at network vulnerability, as a project, vulnerability assessment, project. So the first thing you do, we are conducting this project, is for you to get the tools that you are going to be making use of. And the tool you are going to make use of in this place is Nessus. Nessus Essentials. Nessus Essentials is free. The other enterprise or other versions are paid. So for a project that you just want to do at the beginner, so that you can populate your CV and get your cybersecurity CV or resume ready for job, is a Nessus Essential. So you go to Nessus, download. The first thing you do is to download your Nessus. So if you can see the screen, you go to Nessus, page and download Nessus Essential. So when you download it, you are going to have when you go to the page. So the first page you see here is where you download it from. So it's going to ask you for your name and your email, and a code will be sent to you. An activation code will be sent to your email, which you are going to use, to activate Nessus after registration. So when you go to Nessus website and you provide your email, you give them your email address and your name, a code will be sent to you, and then you go to your email to download. So the first step is download the tools you need. Remember, you also conducting this project in a secured environment, that is using your virtual machine. In the last video, we talked about virtual machines. If you want to know more what I said about virtual machines, you can go back to the previous video. We are going to do other videos that will explain better on how to download and install or set up your home lab, which is your virtual machines basically. So the next thing you do after getting your Nessus, is to define the project. So what are you going to do on a vulnerability assessment project? So you are defining, the first thing you are doing here is defining the project scope. So first thing is, you're going to be identifying target systems. You're going to identify target networks, and you're going to specify the objectives. And I'm going to talk about, the objectives, is it you want to identify vulnerabilities and weakness? That is your main objectives for conducting your vulnerability assessment. So when you've done that, the next thing you do is to get the tools and resources needed. Already we talked about Nessus Essentials, which is your Nessus scanner, which is the tool, the number one tool. Then you have vulnerability databases. Why do you need databases? So when you find some vulnerabilities, when Nessus identify vulnerabilities for you, you're able to go to vulnerability databases and check out what kind of vulnerabilities those vulnerabilities are and how to remediate them. For using the database, I'm going to put a link in the description to databases that you're going to be that you can make use of, to conduct your, to check your the kind of vulnerabilities that you find when you conduct your scan, to check how to solve them and how to remediate it. So another tool you need for this project is the documentation. Yes, in the last video I mentioned Cherry Tree, which is your documentation tool that you'll be using to capture everything you need. So the next thing you do after as getting your knowing the tools that you need, so you set up your environment. So the environment you're talking about is your virtual machine. So you set up whether you're using VMware or Oracle VirtualBox or whatever virtual machine you use, you're familiar with. You set it up and make sure you conduct your test within this control environment. Why? Because like I mentioned earlier on in the other video, if you conduct your test in an environment and you infringe on confidential information, you can be facing legal issues. So you want to avoid that. You set up your virtual machines, you set up your hosts, as many as possible hosts you want, so that you can conduct your test for within your virtual environment. So the next thing you do is to number 5 is to configure your Nessus. So of course, when you after downloading your Nessus, you are activating it. You set the configurations. You put in some details of what you want to do into it. So yeah, this will take a little bit more research. And this is the essence of you being a cybersecurity professional. Conduct research. You go online, you can read about how to use Nessus. I'll also make a video later on explaining how to set up your Nessus essentials, so that you can have a tool for vulnerability. And if you want the video for the Nessus to come up faster, you can put a link or a comment in the comment section and ask for the Nessus video. The next thing you do after configuring your Nessus is to launch your vulnerability assessment. So you can see on my screen, this is how the Nessus page looks like. So when you're on this page, you can determine the kind of vulnerability assessment you do. For a Nessus Essential, there are some that you cannot do. I'm sure it will be indicated that you should upgrade your Nessus for you to go ahead. But you can do the basic test, basic network scan, which is what I expect us to do. Basic network scan is what we're going to be doing for this stage, because we are just going ahead to do this so that something can be on your resume for your job applications. The next thing is to review and interpret the results. So when you, after conducting your scan and you have your results, you go to, this is where you make use of the database I mentioned earlier. So I'm putting a link on the in the comment section, in the description section, where you can check out some popular databases where you can see the kind of vulnerabilities, their impact, how they can be remediated, or solutions that other people have found with regards to such vulnerabilities. So the next thing is to document and report. Like I mentioned, you make use of Cherry Tree. As you are conducting your test, you are doing screenshots, you are writing, you are typing, you are documenting the errors or the things you are finding, the vulnerabilities you find. You can document it with screenshots and in Cherry document, like I mentioned. And the next thing you do after doing that is remediation. So from your study, from your research, from going to those databases, site and finding out about the vulnerability you have found, you need to remediate. You need to clean up the system where you have tested those vulnerable system. You need to clean it up. So you go to this vulnerability, find out the information on how to correct it. For instance, you might have found out that the device has been misconfigured. Then you go in, reconfigure the device. Or maybe you found out that some ports are open, you go there and lock the ports. Or you find out that some patches need to update, so you go, you update it. And well, after updating, you go back and conduct the scan again and make sure that the vulnerability you found is no longer there. And lastly, you update your CV. So this is an example of how you can update your CV. So if you conduct this project properly, This is an example of how you put it. So in your experience, your job role here is a security analyst or information security analyst. So you can write that you develop, install, monitor security software and hardware components for a company's network, and then your task you perform include installed and configured network essentials, implemented vulnerability management. So you can make use of these formats to update your CV. So this is simply a project, a template of what goes on in your project, or how you conduct this project from beginning to the end. I've just explained it. So I expect us to do more research. Like I said, research, reading, personal study is very critical when it comes to cybersecurity. You need to keep learning. You need to know as much as available for you to know. So thank you for watching this video, and please, if this short video makes any sense to you, if you understand, if you changes your perspective, or you gain anything from, please like. And even if you don't learn anything from, please just like this channel and subscribe and share the video. I'm sure it will be useful to so many people. Basically, what we are doing is to tell you that you can populate your CV even without major experiences. Thank you for watching this channel. Please like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share, and let's grow this channel. Thank you for watching.